locked in for both teams. And on the side of Team ZR, Scalebearer is the only big body. It looks like he's replaced that Solag.
So in many ways, it's pretty much, and also the replacement of Nyx. And that's already we've seen Nyx not picked as much as we did before. She was not 100% vital, but when picked, we saw great success come out from players that would pick Nyx. You know, like a very obvious one being Too Good, where he would sort of pick Nyx and make those really hot plays all the time. His kills would be super, super significant, and part of that is the survivability, being able to sneak up on people, secure those power-ups. But if there's another champion in this game that knows a thing or two about securing a power-up, it's probably going to be Scalebearer as well.
Now, we said this briefly earlier on when we were discussing champions we might expect to see. But Scalebearer, right, just has that charge, which is great if you time it right, especially on a map like Ruins, that you make it very hard for teams to pick up the soul immediately. You make it very hard for them to get power-ups. Because if you time your charge, so you're like on the spawn location right as you're making your top speed, if anyone is in the way, you will just run through them. Because if you get a kill with Scalebearer's Bull Rush, he doesn't stop. He keeps going. So if there's a lot of people, you're sitting there waiting, he is just going to plow straight through them. But on the side of TKG, it seems they've got Scalebearer and Solag, and then Slash and Anarchy. So they've got those two fastest champions currently, really, it seems, in the game. And then Solag for that consistency. And I really think Scalebearer might be the flavor of the day, really, in terms of champions we haven't really seen before and might be seeing a lot of now. And I kind of hope so, because he's a very exciting champion to watch.
I mean, we saw him picked a lot in duels to great effect on like specific maps. And this balance patch, it really is going to open up so much more potential for champions like Scalebearer to just come out that would work. I'm excited to see him 3 seconds away from this warm-up. We're about to get into our first map of this winners finals. And that ultimate comfort zone in grand finals will be highly appreciated at this stage, I think.
Yes, indeed, but there's a fight breaking out over the lightning gun immediately. We know how important it is to get, but no, there's the berserk mode. And 2 punches, 3 punches. Pokelink goes down immediately. ETJ wasting no time, swinging fists right from the word go.
I mean, using the berserk at the very beginning, it's a great strategy because, like, fresh off the spawn, enemies are unlikely to have, with the exception of, their health and armor, they're not going to have much weapons to deal with you. So, berserk being nice.
Though, Mag's able to get hold of the Scalebearer, throwing the soul away. He swiftly dies anyway, and that is going to be sacrificed. But Pokelink manages to secure the soul, but gets taken out immediately. Tuto trying to secure it. You can tell he really want to capture this first obelisk and just activate it and claim it. And already been quite back and forth, but the power-up has already spawned, and it will be a quad damage. And Cyrex currently did hold on to it, but unfortunately swiftly dealt with, but passes over to Tuto, so at least his team still controls it.
I was having those 3 bodies for Team ZR when they delivered the soul. There was really no one on deck to try and prevent the quad. Fortunately, though, they were able to sort of seize that back, and it's been a nice little chunk of percentage. Plenty of work left to do, but 10% versus nothing at the very beginning of a round. But I think they'll happily take that one, and they've still got the quad in hand, so they'll get a nice bit of percentage with this too.
Well, we say this a lot, but that really is one of the most important things, is that immediate kind of, first power-up, first soul capture. And because of that by itself, we can just look at already the lead, the 20% and climbing. Looks like TKG are having a little bit of trouble right now, kind of seizing this away. They're constantly trying to go in and frag, but they are kind of losing a lot of, just as many frags as they get, they're losing people for. So it's not really quite working out for them at the moment.
And the fight's taking place down near LG. That will only sort of spawn once every few seconds, so it's going to be quite a while for the rest of the team to actually get those. I love this dominance, the way Messi, I mean, he's not very strong, yeah, but he's got rockets, and those rockets will do a fine job of just taking that one important weapon, which LG is in Sacrifice, and just making it so pretty much the entire team will take that damage as they try and seize it.
Guitar Ration immediately dies though, taken out by a rail. And there's 2 rockets back to back, so that's going to be a nice wipe off the obelisk most likely. So I think at the very least this is going to be a soul steal, whether they can safely get it back to their own. I'm not quite sure. It is the A, but they have got
he's quite
numbers.
weak. Yeah, that's the problem, right? He was able to throw the soul away, so it's not a complete defeat right there, but I think he would like to have had the soul in hand too. Guitar Ration, can he get away? All those missed rails did allow him to deliver at the very least.
Even though he died immediately, was able to get some percentage on the board, and even though his team is starting to get wiped out slowly one by one, so probably going to get wiped here anyway, they were still able to at least get some percentage. It's going to be quite difficult. You can see they've just got the numbers here. Doesn't quite have the injection. Now it is back up and ready, but won't even need it. But that power-up is going to be up in just a few seconds' time, and it will be protection. And I think especially if TKG can get the protection on even like Solag or Scalebearer, you're going to have some very hard to take down opponents.
Yeah, actually, Guitar Ration was trying so hard to just get that protection get going, but going in the hands of Doomslayer. This guy's got a hell of a stack by default, so giving him protection will be a win-win, really. TJX. He was using Doomslayer a lot yesterday, so I think there's going to be a lot of comfort zone right here.
Oh, definitely. But there's a nice, actually, a beautifully placed rocket just going underneath the terrain there and still hanging on onto this protection, but getting a lot of mileage out of the rocket launcher. Protection just about to run out, but look at all that they got. They've managed to control both power-ups and have had the soul for the majority of the time. So actually, looking already really good for Team ZR. 80% to 6. This is a commanding lead.
Doesn't quite get his mid-air. That plasma trail is going to sort of swoop in. Wasn't really able to get a huge amount because of the defense, but there's still plenty of heads left on that obelisk to sort of keep that control underway and consistently trading back and forth one by one. Poking does get charged, but he goes down. Charges down for a while now.
Getting a ball rush frag, then dying for it. Immediately pops the berserk he does, but dies straight away. Guitar Ration with the LG. And they're going to control the soul, but now can they see if they get it back? It looks like they don't have the numbers to stop them, but no! Actually, look, Guitar Ration very nearly dropped that kill, but now Masita is there ready and waiting with the rail.
I feel like the time Guitar Ration spent there to almost like double back and get the frag first, as opposed to trying essentially as hard as to run straight back to the obelisk is kind of why he got picked off by that rail. And the time he spent to secure the frag was enough to keep him in rail range long enough, and he just got taken out.
Oh no, Sarx misses the pass on the soul as well, which basically gives it straight back to Team ZR. Bit of a sloppy end of the round here, but there we go, Mag with a double kill. No, actually, in fact, it was Guitar Ration getting that. My mistake.
I mean, Guitar Ration, he was crazy with the gauntlet yesterday, and I think it's no surprise.
I mean, do you remember the 4-second gauntlet kill? I'm like 90% sure it came from him.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But it's been a good round for ZR at the moment, but you can never say never in Sacrifice. You get one good defense, and that's all you need. But in this case, where that 5% is required, Tuto kind of alone right now. I think that's going to be because the power-up is spawning. TKG have put a lot of heads towards trying to seize it. Unfortunately, they've lost quite a few members, which has allowed Masita to just pretty much run in there and completely for free take that quad damage.
Yeah, that was 100% uncontested power-up, and Masita on the slash, very healthy at the moment. Getting hold of that means that the soul might currently be transit, but it looks like Team ZR have it at the very least. Cyrax able to steal the quad damage away. That's huge. And the assassination. And there's the defense. I actually love that play. Use the gauntlet, take the guaranteed damage, steal the quad damage, and then use it to hold off every single member of ZR. You pretty much allowed TKG to just breeze in there and take the soul back. They've got lots of work to do, but it's definitely possible. Kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier on. If you can get one good streak where it just goes from 100 to 0, that's possible at any point in the match. Oh, Mag trying to throw the soul, but clips the wall, but is actually not stopped on the way. There's a lot of gauntlets trying to get in his way, but he's just thrown it away anyway. All that distance covered straight by that chuck. Masita getting a nice sequence, a nice actually it was a double with the LG, but still not doing too bad at all. Except they've got the numbers, they've dropped it off, or they need to hold it on for like just a few seconds more, and that's going to be a round 1 done, and that will be round number 1 going for Team ZR.
Yeah, I think the second ZR got that sort of triple as a team on the point there. That's pretty much guaranteed. You know, the time it takes for them to drop it off. And then the rest of TKG being able to get their resources together to rush it as a group. I mean, that's a lot of percentage before they've even reached the point. So that's pretty much going to be round 1 right there.
But that was also Team ZR just making the best of a great start as well, right? They got that first soul, they got the first power-up, but they got a lot of frags off of it too. So if they can do the same thing here, we might see a repeat. TKG, maybe they can not let things slip away so fast.
Well, the immediate frags aren't the nightmare. It's when you die around this point, like Guitar Ration, right? They've just lost their Anarchy and they've lost their Scale Bearer. The Scale Bearer was the champion that was probably going to try and steal that soul as well. They're going to try and get him
on the plasma trail. Yeah, that was very nearly disastrous. But he died! Has he? Is he going to be able to actually pick up the soul before he gets there? Not quite sure. No, actually, Guitar Ration takes it away. Purposefully going towards Obelisk B, I think.
It's likely Guitar Ration kind of made a judgment call there and just deemed that Obelisk A was just too hot. You know, there's too many heads there. It's likely he's going to try and drop it off. He probably would have died trying to deliver. As you can see here, there was no one on Obelisk B trying to contest. And now they've got the quad damage. This is a fantastic start for them. And I think it was a good call by Guitar Ration to go for that uncontested Obelisk at the last minute.
Well, it's paying off for them now. Was in a complete turn of events. They have the first power-up in the first soul, and Pokelink be holding on to it. Only has a machine gun and a rocket launcher, so maybe not the best weapons, but we've already seen how much damage even the machine gun does here.
32 per shot. He'll happily take that one. He goes down, but is someone nearby to clean up and take the quad instead, or is it going to go in the hands of ZR?
Looks like it was salvaged by TKG, but oh no, Legend picked it up but died immediately for it. Looks like holding on to the quad's a bit of a curse right now.
Yeah, I mean, you die the second you get it at the moment. Guitar Ration has it. Could have probably used the last bit. Get a bit of damage, but no frags on board. Oh no, he gets hit like a clay pigeon for his troubles.
I quite like that play though, realizing that the quad was about to run out, just dives down there, trying to see if he can take as many frags down as possible. Did a lot of damage, but not quite enough, unfortunately. Masita managing to run through, can at least
so many rails.
one rail, but is getting just absolutely followed. Oh, and Legend just sneaking from the sidelines to take the soul away.
He's going to pick up that rocket along the way. Very important for a Sorlag to get that speed boost, actually.
I think a lot of chasing with the gauntlet here. I'm not quite sure if I agree with just the sheer quantity of gauntlets we're seeing so far. You know, sometimes you just, I mean, again, case in point here. I mean, I understand because you know
that one made sense.
If that one did, but like if you've got the speed and you're just trying to get that guaranteed 80 damage, but sometimes they're not going to turn around, right? You just need to make sure you can stop them from capturing.
TKG, they've got a fantastic streak right now. It's 54% versus 0. You know, so it's pretty much a 1-0 sequence at the moment. I wonder if they're going to be able to sort of hold off long enough, because we haven't really seen ZR on the back foot yet. This is the first time we've seen them today on stream, at least, when they're in a situation where now they're the ones that sort of globally have to push. It's likely to go down, but a couple of teammates to pick up the pieces, so they are going to get a drop off. And now, I mean, there's a lot of defense to do, but I mean, it's sacrifice. That's always possible.
Yeah, never say never. They do have some percentage starting to climb up now. They do still have a round lead, so actually, speaking of which, it looks like a big fight going out over quad, and ETJ has it for getting chased immediately, but there we go. Quad damage berserk punch from the ground. Ouch, see you later.
Had it just long enough on that jump pad. I mean, the second he hit that jump pad, I don't really think there was much you could do to stop that. And there's that quad machine gun. I mean, even if it gets hit by a rail, I think the goal here is just sort of just make that obstacle course. The most obvious way forward will be a huge risk. He's got a bunch of tri-bolt right there. Oh no, he walked into the tri-bolt explosion. I don't think he saw the projectile go past him.
Oh, tri-bolt was a weapon that we saw basically nothing of pre-patch, but already, you know, that big damage increase to 50 and also on impact detonation. We might see a lot more of it on Sacrifice now. Obviously, it has that sort of uncontested. It's not really, you know, a hot point to contest, and the damage is very respectable, especially when, you know, pickups are as harder to get as they are in.
I mean, if there's one game mode we're going to see the tri-bolt used a lot more on, it's going to be Sacrifice. That 50 damage on impact. Guaranteed, because it explodes on impact now, just means that, I mean, it shoots 3 bolts. That's a lot of damage output of just one shot.
Missed the soul. Oh, that's huge. Missed the soul, but ETJ tried to salvage it, but died straight away anyway. But still looks like Team ZR are able to hold on to it, but quite a way away from the comfortable obelisk. He's just trying to cycle around, avoiding damage so far. Nice injection, keep himself alive.
Oh!
That missed rail let him capture the soul.
We have seen those a lot as well. Actually, multiple times through that one passageway in the middle where the rails are coming through, but they're just not making their mark. I mean, if that went through, maybe ZR would not be defending it at this stage. Maybe Anarchy wouldn't have been able to get there in time. And we've seen it so many times already where that crucial rail to stop momentum is failing to land.
Hang on though, Team ZR, they've pulled this round back. They were down 54% to literally 0, and now looking like they're pulling ahead. And again, that gauntlet kill, but took a lot of damage in the process. And that's a nice triple coming out from Team ZR, and that's going to just clean the obelisk off completely. Here comes power up. Yeah, this is a big one. It'll be up in a few seconds' time.
Juto does not want to die here. You need as much hands as possible. And this, oh, I mean, the protection.
So smart. He is just grinding up everyone with this protection. So hard to kill.
That was so violent.
I quite like this approach though, using the protection. He knows he's got a massive amount of damage mitigation, so if he just gets point blank and just gauntlets the absolute hell out of everyone, it's going to be so hard for him to deal with. And Team ZR now 80% and a lot of this protection left to go.
I mean, Anarchy laughs in the face of that. He gets hit by a full speed Scale Bearer charge. Who cares? I got protection. Easy, mate.
Although this is looking really good for ZR. He is going to go down, but they have passed the 90% lead.
I think Toot had a good idea there, was, you know, use the last few seconds of his protection to, even if he goes down when it runs out, if he's keeping a couple of people away from the LG, it's going to waste a little bit of time. And with 2% left on the board, wasting time is exactly what they wanted. Even though he died, it doesn't matter. 100% comes through again. Wow. And Team ZR, they've already got one map. That was a very impressive showing, I have to say.
A very dominant map too. Now, we were told that TKG were definitely sort of arguably the favorite team going into this, or at the very least a team to watch out for 100%, but that was a one-sided map for sure. I think, you know, Team ZR really showing that what they're doing works. You know, they have a team composition that we weren't really sure about, you know, whether it was something we were expecting to see, but
I feel
it's
like
working for them.
The players are more likely to be prepared for the lineups than a lot of the viewers are at this stage, because they're the ones that are playing in the scrims. You know, it's unlikely that a lot of their games will be streamed or recorded, so us as the viewers are unlikely to see a lot of what they're learning, but the players will be ready for these. You know, a lot more than I guess what we can be. But Scale Bearer was always we didn't really, to be honest, I feel like it was still what we saw in that map was, it didn't seem like Scale Bearer made a world of difference, but, you know, a difference nonetheless. That charge has been really useful in a couple of instances, but to be honest, I just feel like when it came to defend, ZR they just had that bulletproof defense every time. They didn't really struggle to get it back either. And on the flip side, TKG, when they were behind, it kind of looked like when the decision came to get power up or to get obelisk, a couple of times when they made a call to get one or the other, it just didn't work out. You know, I think their calls on it maybe need to be a bit more precise. Maybe they need to be a little bit more on the money, or in the spur of the moment, that on-the-spot decision-making as a group, that might need to be a little bit more on point going into Burial Chamber.
Maybe, but Burial Chamber going to be the second map guaranteed, and then Shrine after that if we get down to it. But it all depends whether we actually get to that point or not. But we'll find out over the next few minutes for sure. I think we'll probably see ZR stick with this composition they know works. We're going to the picks right now. We'll find out in a few moments what we're going to be seeing.
Back to the norm.
Literally no hesitation whatsoever. Both
Like,
teams
instantly.
knowing exactly what they want to see.
That was one of the fastest selection periods I've seen ever. Like, they pretty much wasted no time. They locked it in. It's going to be pretty much a rematch of what we just saw. I think on Burial Chamber, though, in particular, it's not a map that Scalebearer can charge anywhere. It's not the kind of map that he can move around anywhere. There are a couple of points where he's a bit more prone, I guess more particularly in that sort of catacomb area on the obelisk near LG. It's a bit harder for him to get that constant start to finish path because there's so much you can bump into. But really, one thing we can't ignore, I think, was those rails that needed to land. And I don't even think it's one particular player. It's in a situation where you've got an Anarchy or a Slash going full speed into an obelisk. If you're hitting a rail, that is the rail you need to land because you need to keep the soul right there and nowhere near the obelisk because that's clearly, one missed rail, they drop it off, and then that's when the defense can start. If you can even prevent that situation to begin with, obviously you're in a better situation, but I don't think we saw that enough in Ruins. Too many crucial rails allowed Slash and Anarchy to just drop it off freely.
Indeed, but with just a few seconds away from the warm-up, we'll go into gameplay as soon as possible because we don't want to be missing as much of this if we can help it for sure. But like you said, the Scalebearer, I'm looking forward to seeing how it works because this isn't a champion we used to see too much on Burial Chamber, even back when Scalebearer was quite important. And now, obviously, he seems very important for what these guys are doing, but a lot of stuff to get in the way of the ball rush, but still great at contesting those points. And in just 20 seconds' time, we'll get into this, and we might see a bit of a mix-up from the start from Team ZR, taking that first map very convincingly.
And if they get this map, they'll be in Grand Finals winner's side, which is, just to kind of go back on what we discussed, is the ultimate comfort zone in Sacrifice for sure, because some of these maps can go on for quite a while. And if it's a map 3 situation, then you get a bracket reset, you've got to do the exact same thing again. That is a mental toll on a lot of players that not a lot of people actually want to deal with. But here we go, map number 2, Burial Chamber. In fact, Team ZR looking super, super dominant. But will it be enough for them to keep this momentum going and potentially get this second map? I think, again, taking these frags when you've got 10 seconds in, it's not the end of the world, but this is the point. You don't want to lose anyone. The soul's just about to spawn. Okay, so he's going to come through. Oh, there's one frag. As you can see, the Scalebearer was alive momentarily, but not long enough. And the frag's going back and forward. We'll get back in eventually. And there's the drop-off. TKG, the early advantage. I think that's a good start for them. Coming through with the Berserk, as we know ETG really likes to go through, but as always, in many ways hasn't quite worked out. But TKG had a nice amount of control over that quad damage. Even though Surux went down there, Legend being happily right next to him was able to take control of this. He's got plenty of health and a nice little chunk of armor to ride out the duration of this quad damage. 20% already in less than a minute. They're going to be happy with that also. And it's going to be very difficult to sort of keep Sorlag at bay here. There's so many people here, but he's going to happily pick those up one after the other. Does go down eventually because that's going to be in sight of Rail. And Rail on this obelisk, very dangerous indeed, especially if you've got so much eyesight. Tries to go in and sees it. Oh, very brave actually there. Going in for the charge. Been able to get the quad back. Good stuff for them, but KG, they're able to still defend, and even though they've just got the soul, not without taking a lot of percentage first. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, very difficult for Mag to survive in there. Didn't really have much health. There's a couple of teammates there trying to pick up the pieces, but just look how much death is out there. Plasma Trail for days. It's going to waste a little bit of time and give TKG the time to maybe try and put up a defense, but one person in there trying to hold off, and Pokelink's only really going to last so long, especially when he's surrounded by enemies. The same can probably be said. But no, actually no, surprise from behind. Here comes Kataration trying to take it back. Not many enemies there to head him off. Actually, in fact, nobody in his path. That is going to be a free drop-off. Now he's going to be able to use plenty of those super nails just to sort of establish that distance. We love the coordination with the rest of his team. They picked up so many frags along the way. It's going to be hard for him to win that 1v1, but he does manage to get it. It's going to at least prevent there being one head on the point. There we go, Guitaration again. I mean, it's the Anarchy with the Gauntlet, the classic combination. A lot more viable in Sacrifice than some people would obviously think, with Anarchy being point blank pretty much all the time. And that's why we see a lot more of the starter shotgun used on that subject, but power-up spawning, it's going to be protection, and again, it's going to be for TKG, and this has pretty much been almost a perfect round. TKG using his Berserk to secure one frag, but they've got to sort of pile in as a group. The issue is, fresh off the spawn, I feel like the coordination between TKG, they're really not making it too much of an issue for them. You can see that they've got a rocket launcher on deck, so just pepper that damage as they're trying to seize the obelisk, but even though they've got the soul in hand, they're not really able to get out alive. Sita's still super vulnerable. If he's going to be able to get away in time. They are making chase, but oh no, he's headed off straight into the plasma trail and a gauntlet. I mean, he was kind of having to play a game of chicken there, Sterix. Even though he went down, he pretty much forced him to go. If you're going to try and drop off that soul, you're going to eat a gauntlet and a plasma trail for your trouble. Guitaration now, they're trying to do the exact same thing. They have traded it back, but as long as this is going to be in limbo, I mean, just look at the difference in percentage. TKG can afford to take this limbo period for now. Fumbles the soul toss a little bit, but that's okay. There's that defense. Pokerlink's just going to sit there with an LG quite happily if anyone tries to chase him, but I think Guitaration, he's got to be super careful here. He can't really afford to drop it off too quickly. Yeah, sort of bumped into a couple of enemies. Got to be very careful. We lost a couple of teammates, and they're clearly going to be communicating that. Just waste as much time as possible. Wait for the rest of your team to respawn, maybe try and pile in back together. Taking a huge amount of damage in there. There's the reset. I think they realized they lost a bit too many teammates, so try to reset it, but no, actually it looks like he passed it back off to Tuto regardless of what happened. That would have either reset back into the middle of the map, or it just bounced off a location that normally you can't drop it off. Either way, they're going to be happy with that. Team ZR taking some of that percentage back. Here comes the power up again in 5 seconds. There's that decision period. TKG, I think they've actually opted. Guitaration goes, right, if I try and drop this off, maybe we can pick up power up at the same time, even though they got the soul. Legends now can have to do a little bit of extra work here. Yeah, he's a bit too far away to make that super shotgun make a difference, but now with plenty of teammates, if he can just get the heavy, no, takes too much damage on the way through. But this is important. Guitaration, he's got the quad damage, he's got the heavy armor. He's going to be basically picking up heads from start to finish. And there's the drop. Fantastic result. Really well executed there from Guitaration. You can be happy with that one. He was one of our qualified players in the duel as well. So he knows a thing or two about being accurate and taking the frag when he needs to. Just plenty of heads on Obelisk B2. This is likely to be around if they can keep this going. A lot of uncontested frags too. They're not trading either. And one of the champions taking the damage being Anarchy. He'll happily take this back and forth. He's got his injection. He can survive all day. They just need a little bit of percentage, and that's going to be the end of this round. I'm likely to call this one at this stage. 1 more percent. He tries to go through. Does actually manage to get one. So will he be able to waste enough time? Nah. He goes down immediately. TKG with this turnaround that they also needed. That first round. It's crucial for them at this stage. And just to remind anyone that has just joined, this being a winner's final match, TKG currently 1 map down. You know, they don't want to go out 2-0. They don't want to go into losers in general. No team does at this stage. But I think getting a very dominant round is a way to steal that momentum, especially when it was so dominantly against them, as we saw on Ruins of Sarnath just now. Oh no, that missed rail might be punished heavily, but actually, no, still alive temporarily. He does get the frag in the end. I think Sarix there being a little bit bold, acknowledging if you're going to miss those rails, I will punish you point blank every time. Pokerlink, can he survive long enough? I know he can mitigate damage. He has 1 HP. Is it enough, though? He is in big trouble, and yeah, no doubt he had to pass over to a slightly more healthier teammate in that scenario, but he is ultimately going to go down. I actually think he might have gone down before he dropped it off. Lost a few teammates, and yeah, he did! Team ZR were able to actually pick up the soul, and all the hard work was done for them. And now with this power-up spawning, I believe it is actually, in fact, going to be quad damage. Tutu has it in hand. He has nowhere near enough health, really, to be that dangerous, but if he can just sit near this obelisk and collect those small healths, so the rest of his teammates are in there as well, I think he might be able to get a little bit of mileage with this quad. It's a long time since he gets the injection, so he's going to be pure damage on borrowed time, especially with 2 members. I mean, he's only going to get 1 in that 2 versus 1. And Pokerlink with that, I mean, the charge into stealing quad damage. I think every scale bearer player likes hitting that one. So they've been able to get a fantastic start, and it all spawned off the fact that TKG, I mean, they lost that control over the soul so early on, it allowed Team ZR to pretty much just get that 1 frag and just walk 0.5 millimeter, and that's it. They've been able to drop it off. TKG have been able to return the the soul, but the question is for how long? They just lost a ton of heads, and this is likely to travel back in just as fast of a turnaround. A little bit of decision making to go, what is going to be the best route here? Opts to go around the far right. Actually, I think he's been able to sort of juke a couple. Yeah, he has. Anarchy being super fast. But no, bumps into a little bit of a bump and getting stuck with the OG. He's only going to survive for so long. That was a nice little bounce, actually. Tries to go for the reset, had to capitalize. Does manage to get it eventually. So it'll be a little bit of time resetting it back to that middle location. The eternal scramble of shotguns and gauntlets that we see so consistently. And the soul spawns in the middle of the map. I actually love establishing the distance. Making TKG potentially have to make a bit of a decision. Do you go for the frag or do you go for the soul? A few seconds, Polink will have his charge, but to be honest, I think it's likely that he's going to go down before he has a chance to do anything, yeah. Just gets met face first by ETJX right there. They tried to follow him through the plasma trail. That's going to be quite risky business. A bit more back and forth as well. 13% currently versus Team ZR's 25. I think Syrax is in a little bit of danger, did lose a couple of teammates, and with that power-up spawning, I think Syrax is being forced away, having to defend, and that essentially will force a 4 versus 3. Syrax is going to try and pretty much contest this power-up. I think they would have communicated that as a team, that there's going to need to be a little bit of help. Guitar Ration does been able to pick up 1. They're going a little bit back and forth. Power-up, though, it's going to be so important, but who's going to get a hold of it? It's going to be Masita. Oh, no. Walking into the Acid Spit. A little bit of less damage. Actually, it's the less damage of the Acid Spit that allowed Masita to actually survive that exchange. So thank you very much for that balance patch. It goes down eventually. And it's going to consistently go back and forth. This is what we see all the time in Sacrifice when that soul gets traded back and forth and the frags just rack up. Now, this is a nicely stacked up Scale Bearer. This is one champion you don't want to have the quad damage, because he'll be able to tank damage outright, even without any form of like health and armor. Go. Funny enough, actually, the power-up didn't result in a huge amount of percentage either. I do actually think I've, in fact, been joined once again by my commentary partner, so thank you very much for rejoining us. Welcome back, Mustard.
Hello, sorry. I am back once again. I apologize for my swift abandonment of you for a few minutes, but I am back once again. But however, just to sort of fill you in, TKG currently up 1 round, but this round is significantly closer. You know, we just saw a power-up go, so it's going to be a while before we see the next one. The power-up didn't really result in a lot of percentage as such. It kind of kept the soul back and forth. I think both teams just did a really good job of trading back and forth, which kind of looks like they're actually continuing to do. Well, that is what happens sometimes, I suppose, but it looks like Tuso right now running the soul, trying to get it through, but ooh, a couple of missed rockets actually lets him capture for free, even though he did have a lot of armor there. A couple of rockets would still have taken him out, but sometimes it does miss. It kind of reminds me of what we saw in Ruins, you know, where there's really crucial shots when you've got, it's pretty much a 1 versus 1, and you need to make sure you're landing that damage outright. And if you're not, you're pretty much giving them an obelisk, and that could be the percentage that you may live to regret that later on down the line. Unfortunate suicide, though, coming out of Guitar Ration. Do you think he was trying to pass it on to an ally, or just misjudged self-damage for a rocket jump, perhaps?
I mean, they're the only 2 potentials, right?
Oh, wow.
Protection.
Wipes out the power-up completely and takes the protection himself. So now Team ZR having the protection and currently capturing percentage on the soul.
Nice.
Wonderful sequence coming through there.
Actually love that turnaround into a point-blank rail. I mean, in that split second, you haven't really got time to make a decision, right? It's either you go for the railgun shot at point-blank or you swap weapons, and that time it takes will result in you losing protection. So you can't really risk losing the power-up in that crucial situation. Team ZR, they've had a good turnaround. It was a very dominant round 1 for TKG, and it was a good turn of momentum for them, and they desperately needed it. But in this round, it is no way near the same story.
I think even if TKG end up winning the map anyway, the fact that Team ZR were able to like stabilize after such a one-sided round, like I think it speaks volumes. Considering they are still in the lead, they can take this, bring themselves to match point. They'll know that's something that's going to really help them out. I think it's a good call for Tuto as well to use his stack to now push the advantage. He's catching TKG fresh off their spawn. They haven't really got a lot of equipment. He's going to almost bully them temporarily. And even on the way, he was able to take the Mega Health. You know, they kind of would really like that Mega Health as they make the assault onto Obelisk B. If they've not got that, one of their really crucial targets is not going to have that extra bit of health they would have very much liked. And because of the Mega Health, Tuto surviving with 12 HP. I mean, it was a great decision to go for that detour. I mean, I know we said before about, you know, potentially players using the gauntlet a little bit too much, but it does seem that, like, if you know you're going to go down, you know you're about to die, the gauntlet and this sort of point-blank situations is such a good answer for just getting a lot of damage, but it's paying off for them a lot this time. And ETJ trying to get this soul back, passing it through, probably going to die for it, but at least was able to throw the soul a little bit closer to his own obelisk. And wow, a complete bloodbath going on near the Mega Health. It looks like Team ZR are able to make the most out of it. Even if Tuto dropped there, teammate was ready to pick it up. And now 93% and climbing. Pokelink drops also. And now Team ZR with 3 of the 4 team and the 4th member here too. The entire team here ready to defend to get these final couple of percentage.
I would have really liked to have seen Tuto be the focus target right there. It's going to be match point for them now, 1 round away. And they're going to be in a fantastic situation sitting in grand finals winner's side. But I mean, to be honest, even there when Tuto was making the trek back to his obelisk with the soul, there was 2 of them there. And Tuto was not the target that was being focused down with fire. So I feel like there may be a little bit of priority shifting here. Some of these targets need to be a little bit better picked out. You cannot allow an Anarchy to just run right past you with that soul.
I think to play devil's advocate, a lot of the time it's easier said than done, right? Just because a champion has the soul and it's like, right, that person has to be the priority. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always the easiest target to hit at the time. You know, sometimes there might be a lot of people around that are obviously getting the frags and dishing out the damage that you want to make sure they can't do that either. But like I said, right, it's priority. Because ultimately, if you kill the soul carrier, that's it. But it looks like TKG starting off, trying to run literally following the plasma trail to a T, it sounded like. And that's going to be a nice capture at the beginning for TKG. I think it's going to be crucial. Oh, that was such a good shot. Crucial for Team ZR now to take that first power up if they can.
I think this temporary defense from Cyrax was very important. I know they actually lost the soul, in fact, but catching those rockets and that one rail, that actually just lost a fight where it was 2 versus 4. So allowing them not to pile in so freely is going to waste a little bit of time. But with that power-up spawning, that's probably why there wasn't as many numbers. You know, they prioritized getting that power-up first and then taking the soul later. Something so common, you know, where you get the advantage and then use that advantage.
Oh, this is so well played by TKG currently. So it looks like Team ZR able to seize that that quad damage immediately, but TKG, they didn't straight away capture the soul. It looked like whoever was carrying it at the time decided to just waste as much time as possible.
Gibbs.
Wait, was that was a bull rush kill onto a jump pad again? That's not the first time we've seen that.
That was a bull rush and then a quad damage LDs. Oh geez, that was just lots of blood and guts all over the place. But I think, well, for another time, we see the quad damage, but it doesn't really result in a drop-off. It doesn't really result in percentage. It just kind of allows the soul to stay in that back and forth state. And speaking of back and forth, the rails, they're going to go one after the other.
Guitaration was able to drop off before swiftly dying, unfortunately, but a little bit of percentage on the rise, 15% now to 0, but can quickly turn around, especially now Tuto carrying the soul, has the soul and the heavy armor.
Oh, but there's no one here, there's no one here! There was 3 people there, but I mean, they zigged and he zagged. One of them went underneath him, one of them went to Mega when he went towards the left. He was able to drop that off for free because just as he went in a dead straight line, they just so happened to go in the opposite direction.
Oh no, it was an attempt on the bull rush to get the soul through, but didn't have enough damage. And Tuto again with that gauntlet doing so much damage, but going to swiftly take him down. Pokelink now doesn't have a bull rush, so he's just going to try and walk his way effectively on the ground to try and get through, but has a lot of health to sponge here. But yeah, I mean, he's just eating up all that damage, does not mind at all. That's the capture.
Damage was done. He was able to get the drop off for a small amount, so it's going to be a bit of percentage. The question is, can Tuto get this back? He had a really good run doing it before, but does he go for something completely different now? No, walking right into Legend's face!
Legend, no, Mag there, able to swiftly pick up the soul again anyway. The bull rush is there, but obviously can't use it yet, and just getting chased for days. Guitaration holding on to the soul now. There's another recapture. The protection, however, has gone to Team ZR, and it is on that Doomslayer nonetheless.
For that protection on Doomslayer is going to be very difficult, and he's got a full stack too. He's got loads of armor, loads of health. It's going to be very difficult to take out this Marine.
Hey man, he's been to hell and back. He's seen it all before. He is getting chased. Plenty of health left to go. Bull rush. Oh, swiftly destroyed.
Now, it's going to be, unless they can do something magical, especially now he's got the Mega 2, which they were able to sort of swiftly steal away, but I guess the only win there is that ETJX was not able to get Mega. He was not going to die in that exchange, but at the very least, he's not going to be as healthy. I guess that's all they can really take away from that one.
Still, even though TKG they do have a lead, we've already seen how little that can mean if you just get one good defense, and looks like we might be on the verge of that, even though Legend gets a nice sequence with that acid, still getting a lot of work, and the Guitar reach with a nice quick direct. So Swift do some damage there. Now this is bad for ZR. TKG are here in force trying to contest this soul, but here we go. All of ZR have popped up, and looks like they're getting frag after frag, just being able to hold on to it, and that has actually put them at an even state. Even state's a good start for them, for sure. Match point right now. Fortunately, he gets a little bit of the charge there hitting the pillar, but he's too worried about that. He's got the soul. Probably would like to have covered a little bit more distance, but if there's one champion that's going to be able to cover such distance, it's going to be Anarchy anyway, especially when he's this close to having his injection.
Oh
again.
no!
It won't matter. Actually, no. Swiftly just deleted by the bull rush. Hate to see that kind of thing happen, but I guess that's what happens sometimes every now and then.
Tuto's been such a star performer. It's not just his movement with Anarchy being quite impressive. It's the fact that I think it's his decision making, and the second he gets that soul, pretty much most of the time the decision has come to drop the soul off somewhere you just kind of expect the enemies not to be, or maybe you're communicating that with your team, or maybe you just have an inkling that they're not going to be somewhere. He's been pretty much on the money every single time, and now here comes the power-up. It's going to be very good for ZR if they can seize this, but they lose a couple of heads right there. They do trade 2 for 1. Is that enough to prevent this quad damage? Legend has it.
Go towards TKG, and Legend fully stacked too. It's going to be quite hard for them to take him down before he takes someone out with him. Going to try and get the soul back, taking a lot of damage here, actually, just as I can say that.
No!
Oh, Legend! With that Doom Berserk mode. Look at all that damage coming through. But unfortunately, didn't get any frags on the way through, but didn't need any more. Damage is done.
ETJ punished those missed shotguns so ridiculously. I mean, if you're going to miss shots, and I've got Berserk, every time you're in that downtime, I'm going to punch you in the face. I mean, that's just uncontestable. And he was able to pull it off, and here we go.
I
Chunky
think
lead.
A quad damage Berserk is so fitting as well, right? It's so right to see the Berserk punch one-shot things.
I agree.
It's just like the good old days.
Well, they actually give when you punch them when you're in quad, so that's a good start.
Still, though, this is a good sequence for TKG. They've lost the lead quite
another missed rail!
substantially, but able to salvage it somewhat. Now, can they hold on? They haven't been able to hold on to the obelisk for very long. That has been their biggest problem in this round so far, and already the soul is stolen away. They are somewhat surrounded, but Slash, with that very quick mobility, I mean, if she can sort of just juke for a small amount of time, dropping the soul and letting the rest of the team fight for it, that kind of actually has allowed them to stay alive just a little bit longer. I actually kind of feel like they just sort of gravitated towards it, but they have been able to seize it regardless. They held on to the soul, but it wasn't on the obelisk the whole time, so it didn't build as much percentage as they probably wanted, but they will still take it, I have no doubt, as we're approaching the 40% mark for them. Now, this is one of those important, crucial rounds. We have to remember, Team ZR, if they win this, they go through the grand finals on the winner's side. TKG will go to a map 3 if they can do this, but it's going to be tough, as that's going to be Legend out of there. Another frag is currently a 2 for 1. No, it's 2 for 2, thanks to that bull rush and guitar raging coming in, revving all this gauntlet damage. Is he going to get another one? Oh! Against the Berserk, it's a very difficult matchup. Is the Berserk versus the Gauntlet. He kind of just sort of lunges face first into a revving Gauntlet. He actually gets hit by the damage of the Gauntlet before he even registers his punch. Quite a common issue as a Doomslayer player, I think. Oh, but the thing is, like, even after seeing stuff like that, it's not like the Berserk mode doesn't, work in a fight. So clearly it's actually better used if your opponent has a gun than if they have the Gauntlet out, right? Because if they miss a shot, you can get really mobile, but this is a protected scale barrier. This is going to be a lot of damage sponged up with a lot of base numbers behind it.
He's got so much armor too. I mean, can you even stop this guy when he's got this much stats? They pass it over. Passing over, Mag might not get there the fastest, but by God, will he get there safer. I feel like he may actually lose the protection by the time he reaches the point. So if it runs out right before, maybe that's going to be their saving grace. That might be their chance, and it's likely they're about to take it. I think that's why we saw the rocket jump. Mag just wanted to maximize the time he had protection available. He's likely to die now, maybe not actually. A nice pick
saved by his teammate.
Yeah, very
They'll
crucial
be able
pickup.
to survive anyway.
Very important pickup right there, was to keep him alive.
But it's another one of those exchanges, right? TKG were able to use that one capture to pull ahead in the lead, but just as fast as they were able to do that, Team ZR get it back themselves, and this nail gun, super nail gun zoning, just keeping him away from these corridors. He's doing lots of work. His Team ZR, 85%. Things are getting very, very dire for Team ZR.
At this percentage, I think every single frag matters. You're out of action for a couple of seconds while you respawn, and then only takes a few seconds for a percentage to climb. So if you die now, it could be make or break, and the frags are starting to ramp up quite significantly. They just need 3 more percent, and Team ZR will be moving into this grand finals on the winner's side, and it's looking very, very likely. It's going to be one after the other. Is that going to be enough to finish the job? He piles in just to try and waste as much time as possible. He does manage to waste it, but it's not enough time whatsoever. Team ZR moving into grand finals, and they now find themselves in a superb position.
One by one, they try to contest, and maybe what else could they do at that time, right? That's what you need to do. If they're 1% away, you need to contest. It doesn't matter if you're alone, doesn't matter if you haven't got a team with you, doesn't matter if you just spawned, doesn't matter if you haven't got any weapons. You need to contest or you will lose the game. But the problem is, because of how they were spawning just in time for one at a time to get there. And I think a very clean defense there, I think, coming out. That scale bearer protection, being able to safely get the soul back, I think did a lot of work towards starting that final push, that final defense, which ended up winning the game. And I like the fact that scale bearer is making such an impact. I think it's really goes to show that there's a lot of potential for this patch, showing a lot of creativity, a lot of strategies that we either haven't seen for a while or haven't seen kind of displayed in this way, I suppose. But I'm happy to see it working at the very least.
I feel like for me, the rise of Scalebearer so far is because it's more that it's not that it's new, it's that we haven't seen it in a while. I know it's going to be more effective now. Scalebearer is a little bit more viable in conjunction with some of the more top-tier champions being slightly toned down in conjunction with the rest of the cast. It's just nice to see this kind of champion again. And this is just one of many variables. I think also it was just really, really important teamwork by Team ZR. Their ability to essentially just out-frag TKG was also crucial when those defenses came through, and it's, power-ups about to spawn and the fight taking place. Just look at the kill feed and it's blue, blue, blue. All the time they were able to come off better in those exchanges. If it was a 2v1, it was going to be in the favor of, Team ZR consistently. They just pretty much had the numbers right there. And I feel like when the fights took place, they just played it a bit better, which allowed them to control the power-up, it allowed them to control the obelisk. And ultimately, they were just the strongest sacrifice team in that series. While we go into what I assume will be our losers bracket now, because we have our winner side grand finalists decided, we're going to go for a quick break. Don't go